Welcome everybody, Tudor Tanase here, the hair loss dude. In today's video we're going to discuss everything you need to know about hair loss, androgenetic alopecia, male pattern baldness or female pattern baldness, causes and treatments. First, I want to start by explaining the hair follicle anatomy. In here on top you have the epidermis, after that you have the papillary layer in which resides all the tiny capillaries, those tiny veins that go to the hair bulge area in order to nourish it. After that, from the epidermis until this line here you have the dermis, in which resides all the muscles and the rest of the veins. In the hair bulge area, the blood will go with the nutrients in order to nourish the hair bulge area and the hair follicle, and on top of this you see these blue dots are the hair matrix, which get nourished with blood and is going to reproduce with keratin in order to fill the hair shafts and extend upwards. After that, in here with blue you have the sebaceous glands, which role is to produce natural oils that will go over the hair shaft and the skin in order to protect it from the outside environment. In here you have the erector pili muscle, which role is to erect your hair shafts in order to keep the worm at the skin level to protect you from the outside environment. Those black lines here represent the nerves that are attached to the hair follicle that send stimulus to produce more and more keratin for the hair shaft. Now I want to discuss about the hair life cycles of the follicles over your scalp. First you have the anagen stage, which is the growth stage that can take anywhere between 3 and 10 years. After that you have the telogen stage, which is the resting stage, can take anywhere between 2 and 4 months. And lastly you have the catagen stage, which is the detachment stage or death stage, which can take between 5 and 20 days. When it comes to types of alopecia, there are many out there. However, androgenetic alopecia represents of almost 90% of all the alopecia cases out there. This is also known as male pattern baldness or female pattern baldness. This is caused by a genetically precondition in which free testosterone gets converted into dihydrotestosterone with the help of the 5-alpha reductase receptor. Those DHT sediments are going to get transported through the papillary layer with the help of the capillaries and get sedimented around the hair bulge area, and is going to reduce the blood nourishment and nutrients to the hair matrix, and is going to reduce the keratin production, and by extension that's going to reduce the anagen stage, the growth stage of the hair, and the hair follicle is going to go to the hair miniaturization process. By reducing the life cycle of the hair shaft is simply going to have less and less time in order to be nourished and develop in a longer, thicker, darker hair, and is going to fall oftentimes until you remain with no hair. After a few cycles of those, the hair shaft is simply going to die and the hair follicle is going to get calcified and there's no more hair growing out of that follicle. In order for you to detect if you suffer from androgenetic alopecia, I advise you to do the shower test, and it goes like this. Go into the shower and wet your hair. Take your hand and go it through the hair and take as many hair shafts as possible. After that, put those hair shafts on a white background, bundle them all together and see if they have hair diameter differences. If it does, it means your scalp is affected by DHT. Telogen effluvium represents around 5% of the total alopecia cases, and it's a resting stage where your body puts your follicle in after a stressful period. It represents as hair thinning and can take up naturally between 2 and 4 months. However, if you are into the telogen effluvium stage, it can take you up to 2 years. When it comes to alopecia areata, totals around 2% of the total alopecia cases worldwide. Only in US you have around 6 million people annually suffering from this disease. It's an autoimmune disorder where your body mistakenly attacks your hair follicle, and that's going to cause hair loss. This can occur on your scalp, beard, or over your body. It can come up as spotted, where round spots around your scalp or beard appears, or totalis, where all the follicles over your body are getting attacked by this disease and they are going to fall and die. Personally, I cannot give you any advices when it comes to alopecia areata because it's extremely complex of a disease, but I will highly advise you, if you detect anything related to these round spots around your scalp, beard or body, go and see a professional doctor in order for him to give you the proper advice and treatment. Some other types of alopecia that I really want to mention is traction alopecia, in which you pull your hair shafts really strong that they detach from your scalp, and scarring alopecia, where you hit your scalp or beard and it causes a scar, and around that scar there's no hair shafts growing out. Whenever you go to any hair loss clinic, they are going to assess your hair loss stage in one of these two scales. For men, you have Norwood scale, which goes from 1 to 7, and after you did the shower test and assess that you have androgenetic alopecia, you should check on this scale to see what stage you're into. For women, there's 7 scale, which has 9 different stages. I kindly advise you to check and see which stage you're in order for you to assess what what treatment you need. When it comes to treatments, you have four main categories: medications, devices, natural remedies, and procedures. When it comes to medications, Minoxidil is the world's most used hair loss ingredient. It has been approved by FDA in 1988 and it has multiple concentrations. The 2% is mainly used by women, 5% by men, and some women that don't have results from the 2%. After that, you have higher concentrations that are mainly used by men and they are not FDA approved. You have two types of forms, which is lotion and foam. The main difference here is that lotion contains propylene glycol, in which a lot of customers may encounter skin-related side effects. After that, you have the oral intake of Minoxidil, which I'm personally not a fan of. FDA didn't approve this medication. It goes systemic in much higher quantities and you can cause hair growth over your chest, shoulders, and back. Initially, Minoxidil was used in order to treat hypertension. After that, the doctors noticed that the customers and patients that took this medication orally developed hair over their chest, back, and shoulders, and they reformulated the medicine into a topical lotion in order to help with androgenic alopecia. The mechanism of action of this medication is a bit complex, and let me tell you why. You first apply it topically over your scalp, lotion or foam, every morning and every night. Then the medicine is going to get absorbed by your skin and deposited at the papillary layer level, where the sulfotransferase process is going to metabolize the prodrug Minoxidil in order to enhance its benefits. Minoxidil is going to get transported by the papillary layer into the hair bulge area, and here the mechanism of action is going to be activated. Now here's a very interesting fact about Minoxidil. The medication has been used over 35 years in order to treat androgenic alopecia. It has been done hundreds of studies on, and yet nobody knows exactly what the mechanism of action of this medication is. It has three main causes. Either it increases the vasodilatation, meaning more and more blood is going to get pushed to these tiny capillaries to the hair follicle. Two, increase fenestrations, meaning small cuts around the hair bulge area in order for more blood to be pushed that way. Or increase the ATP potassium channeler openers, meaning new gates around the hair bulge area in order to push more blood that way. When it comes to side effects, I like to categorize those in two main ones. One is medication side effects, which is increased heart rate, weight gain, water retention, which is 0.3% of the total users. And after that, you have the recipe side effects, which can cause by propylene glycol, which I mentioned earlier, which is skin-related side effects, dandruff, irritation, and here can be solved by different formulations. And here I advise you to order more products from different brands in order for you to try them out to see which recipe your body likes the most. I've been using Minoxidil for almost a decade now. I first started when I was 20 over my beard in order to achieve a thicker beard. Later on at 23, when I achieved my results on the beard, I started to lose hair and I started applying Minoxidil over my scalp. The problem I always had with the traditional Minoxidil recipes is because of the increase of propylene glycol concentration and low quality alcohol. I always developed some kind of skin related side effects such as itchiness, dandruff, or irritations. That's the reason why I created Follicle. And right now the way I'm using Minoxidil is applying foam over my beard because it has a bit more oily concentration and it helps me with styling and nourishing the beard. And over my scalp I apply the lotion because that's better in terms of drying process and metabolization over the contact area. The second most used medication to treat androgenetic alopecia is Finasteride, under the name of Propecia, that has been approved in 1992 by FDA. This medication is going to reduce DHT over your entire body by inhibiting the enzyme 5-alpha reductase, which is located into prostate. This is going to target the type 2 5-alpha reductase, and it goes like this. Free testosterone is going to get converted to dihydrotestosterone, and Finasteride is going to inhibit this 5-alpha reductase in order to reduce DHT production over your entire body by 50 to 70%. When it comes to taking Finasteride, you have orally and you have topically, but the difference between Minoxidil is that Finasteride goes systemic. So if you apply this medication over your hand, it's going to be absorbed by your entire body. This is the main reason why the pills come into blue coating and protective coating, because pregnant women cannot touch this medication because they can affect the fetus. The dosages may vary a lot. This is why I advise you to see a professional doctor to give you proper advice and do all the required analysis before taking these medications such as free testosterone, total testosterone, SHBG, and testicle analysis. There are quite a few possible side effects that are tied to hormonal levels such as erectile dysfunction, testicle pain, loss of libido, reduced sperm count, and many other which can encounter. This is why I advise all of the patients and all the people, if they want to take Finasteride, to see a professional doctor before making the decision. Dutasteride is Finasteride's stronger brother. It inhibits the 5-alpha reductase receptor from the skin and liver, and that by extension is going to reduce the DHT over your entire body between 75 and 90% depending on the dosage. And of course, it comes with an increase in possible hormonal side effects, and that's why you need to be extremely careful with it. Ketoconazole, it's an antifungal and anti-yeast medication that is meant to inhibit the production and reproduction of the fungi by destroying its membrane. It's normal for us to have microorganisms over our skin on scalp. Those are meant to protect the scalp. However, there are from time to time some fungi and yeast that are not very helpful and not very well intended over our skin. And those fungi are going to infiltrate into the skin, into the sebaceous glands, and are going to reduce the production of the oils because they are going to consume all the oils. And by extension, your hair shaft and skin will remain with no natural oils meant to protect them, and by extension, that's going to cause you hair loss. You must use the 2% concentration one because that's the one that the most amount of studies have been done on and been proved to help with hair growth. You need to take doctor prescription because it's not over-the-counter medication. At the same time, you have to use it for 3 to 6 months, 2 to 3 times per week. And very important, when you shampoo your hair, please leave it in for 15 minutes in order for the medication to make its activation. The side effects are very mild and can occur only in very rare cases, and that can cause dryness, itchiness, or discoloration of your hair. Pyrilutamide is a new novel medication that's taking the hair loss industry by storm. It's developed by Tudor Pharmaceutical. They first started to develop this medication in 2018, and in 2021 they started phase 1 trial in China. Right now there are phase 3 in China and phase 2 in the USA. The medication looks extremely promising because it's meant to block the stimulus between the DHT cell and the hair follicle without having all the possible hormonal side effects. Now here's the catch. This medication is in early stages and has not been tested on thousands of people like Finasteride and Minoxidil. That's why I cannot advise you to take it because there's no data behind this medication and it's developed in China. When it comes to hair loss devices, the most common procedure is called microneedling. In here you have 3 main devices, which is electric Derma Pen, Derma Roller and Derma Stamp. When it comes to Derma Pen, it's extremely expensive, is mainly used in cosmetic clinics and is going to take you 30 minutes to cover your entire scalp. The Derma Roller, it's a device that rolls over your scalp with tiny needles meant to puncture your skin. The reason why I don't like Derma Rollers is because it doesn't have adjustable needles, so if you want to start your treatment with 1 millimeter and then go to 1.25, 1.5, you have to buy new rollers. And second of all, if you have longer hair like I do and you roll the roller over your scalp, those tiny needles are going to perforate the hair shafts and is going to cause you unwanted haircuts. The perforation of the skin of the derma rolling goes diagonally, and that can increase the chances of irritation. My personal favorite one is Derma Stamp, which has adjustable needles. You can increase or decrease the needles as you please. You can safely store it and it won't cause you any irritations or hair shafts breakage. It combines the benefits of a Derma Pen, which is perpendicular perforation of the needles, and the benefits of a Derma Roller, which covers your scalp really fast and you can finish the whole treatment in 5 minutes. The mechanism of action of all these 3 devices is basically the same. All those have tiny needles that are going to perforate your skin, going to touch the bulge area, and is going to cause micro injuries. The body's own natural healing response to that is going to be to produce more and more collagen and stem cells in order to heal that area. As well, is going to increase the process of angiogenesis, which is producing more and more tiny capillaries which are going to push more and more nutrients to the hair follicle. I advise you to use the Derma Stamp 2 to 3 times per week. If you're a man, start with 1 mm needle length and increase by 0.25 after each week up to 2 mm and find the sweet spot for your sensitivity. If you're a woman, start with 0.5 and increase up to 1.25 until you find the sweet spot. You must disinfect the device after each use with isopropyl alcohol and store it into its safe container. Choose a device that has titanium needles and change it every 2 to 3 months because those tiny needles can bend or rust. If you follow all these guidelines, the safety profile of this device is exceptional. However, it can cause irritation, itchiness if you don't pay close attention to it. The second most used hair loss device procedure is laser therapy, which can come in 3 main forms as caps, wands or combs. This is mainly an alternative for microneedling if you have an extremely sensitive scalp. The overall idea behind laser therapy is very similar with microneedling, but instead of needles they have laser with LED red light which perforates the skin and touch the bulge area, and by extension is going to increase the stem cell and collagen production. Laser therapy has less benefits than microneedling and its efficiency is lower. That's why I advise all of you to try derma stamping first, and if you don't like that, go with the laser therapy. Use it exactly as microneedling, which is 2 to 3 times per week, and leave the cap over your head for 20 to 30 minutes. The side effects are almost non-existent, and in very rare cases it can cause dryness over your scalp. When it comes to natural remedies, there are many out there that seem to work. However, if you're a man and you suffer from androgenetic alopecia and your DHT conversion is medium to advanced, most likely you will have to take medications and use devices in order to combat that, because natural remedies will not produce the desired results. Some of them are rosemary oil, peppermint, biotin, onion juice, aloe vera, zinc, caffeine, saw palmetto, and niacinamide. I've been trying all these natural remedies throughout the years in order to combat my situation with hair loss, and I found them to be effective, but in combination with minoxidil, derma rolling, scalp massages, they can produce the desired results. However, when I reduce and remove minoxidil from my routine, my hair loss started to regress. Now, when it comes to the ladies, it's a totally different story. Because you don't have such high concentrations of DHT, you won't have hair loss, mainly you have hair thinning. That's how female pattern baldness acts. So natural remedies have great results for women. When it comes to hair loss procedures, the king of them is hair transplant, and here comes the controversy. I often get asked by my audience if they do a hair transplant, if the transplanted hair will fall after the transplant if they don't take any medication. The idea behind it is that follicles behind your head are DHT resistant, but let me tell you why they are wrong. All a hair transplant is taking follicles behind your head and place them on top of your scalp. All that does, as I mentioned to you before with the hair life cycles, is going to reset the life cycle of the hair. If the underlying problem, which is DHT, is not getting addressed, meaning you take Finasteride or Dutasteride or use minoxidil, derma rolling medications and devices in order to combat hair loss, those new follicles are going to go to a new follicle miniaturization process, and in a time frame between 3 and 5 years, those new transplanted hair shafts will fall as well. So in conclusion, the follicles behind your head are DHT resistant. However, once you transplanted them on top of your scalp, they will start to get affected by DHT. A study has been done in which proves that when a follicle is being transplanted to a different part of the body, that new follicle is going to get the structure of the area in which it's going to get transplanted to. As an example, there are men out there that want to do a beard transplant, and oftentimes the new follicles are getting transplanted from the neck area. But for those who don't have hair shafts on the neck area, what they do, they transplant it from the back of the head and place them on beard, and after 3 to 6 months, those new follicles will start to look like a beard. Another example is that I personally know someone from Bali that did 3 hair transplants from the back of his head. He left with no follicles on the donor area, and he did the 4th one with the follicles from his thigh. Now, a very popular procedure is PRP, platelet-rich plasma. So in here what they do, they extract some of your own blood, they put it into a centrifuge, spin it really fast in order to separate the blood from the buffy coat. With a needle, they extract this buffy coat, which is the platelet-rich plasma, they start to inject it evenly over your scalp. After that, they start massaging the platelets over your scalp in order to evenly distribute them. After that, that's going to increase the stem cell count, collagen production, and angiogenesis, which is the process of creation of new capillaries. I'm personally not a big fan of PRP because it's extremely expensive, you have to do it over a clinic, and it has the exact same benefits as microneedling. To be brutally honest with you, PRP is not worth the money and is just a huge upsell for the hair transplant clinics. I've been fighting with patchy beards and hair loss for almost a decade now, and I want to tell you exactly what I have been doing in order for me to have success. I haven't done any hair transplants, no PRP, no Finasteride or Dutasteride. The reason for it: 1. I don't need a hair transplant, PRP is too expensive, and microneedling does the same thing in terms of benefits. Finasteride and Dutasteride is going to block the DHT production over my entire body. I have a precondition over my left testicle which is called varicocele, and my doctor said not to play with my hormones because that can make things worse. For my scalp, I'm using the following things in order to combat hair loss. Minoxidil 5% lotion in the morning at night every single day. After that, I'm using a microneedling device which is a Derma Stamp with a 2mm needle length 3 times per week, Monday, Monday, Wednesday and Friday, and I don't use my Minoxidil in the same night in order to avoid possible irritations. Then I'm using this bad boy right here, which is a silicone scalp massager every time after I'm applying my Minoxidil in order for me to enhance the absorption and offer a relaxing massage experience. And lastly, I'm using this hair loss specific shampoo 2 to 3 times per week. I don't like to use shampoo more than that because that can strip out all the natural oils from my scalp and that can cause hair loss in the long run. Now, when it comes to my beard, I don't take anything right now because I'm quite satisfied the way my beard looks. However, 5 years ago when I wanted to achieve a thicker beard, I did the following things. I took my Minoxidil foam, 5% concentration. This is better because my skin is quite sensitive and if I apply the lotion, I simply get pimples and irritations on my face. After that, I used a Derma Stamp with 1mm needle length 3 times per week, Monday, Wednesday and Friday. And of course, I didn't use my Minoxidil in the same night. And this silicone massager in order to enhance absorption and metabolization of the product. I hope this video taught you all the basics that you need to know in order to combat hair loss. For those of you who want to learn further and in more detail, I created a course that's around 2 hours, which I kindly advise you to check it out. I'll leave a 50% discount code in the descriptions. Thanks a lot for watching. Like this video if you learned something new. Comment down below any questions you might have. We will reply to all of them. Subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell for our future hair loss and beard growth videos. Until next time, bye bye.